night. I apologize for being a few minutes late. I have another thing I have to speak for this morning, and so I had to spend more time than normal getting ready. Y'all are used to seeing me just basically throwing my clothes on. But, if I'm going to speak for a special event or situation, I like to put a little more effort into how I look. But that also means I can't work out till later. Anyway, the things you juggle. We're all juggling so many things in life, and God is so good to be right in the midst with us, just leading us through our day. And so I am always honored to be here with you in the mornings. And so, hello. Okay, so I mentioned to you yesterday that I was going to get into this topic of peace, and one of the meanings, or the Hebrew word for one of the words peace, is shalom. And so I'm looking forward to breaking that down for you today. And I think I'll start by reading in Rainbow God, and we'll do that part first. This month, of course, we're talking about God as provider, and we can't give away what we don't have, and so we are wanting to give away an expanded perspective of who God is, the fullness of who He is, and part of who He is He is a generous provider. And He is literally, if you follow back to its source, anything that is good, that is right, that is something that we need, you follow it back to its source and you will find our Father. He is the fountain. He is the well. He is the source of everything that is good and right and everything that we actually need. It's all found in Him. This face of God as provider is so much more than just like thinking of economy in the way that the world has taught us to think of economy. It's not just an exchange of this for that. It's not just money, and it's not just funding. It's literally its complete source, and that is obviously found in Him. And so if He is that, if that is part of His character and His nature, then of course we want to be experts. I use that term loosely because how could you ever be a complete expert on God? He is limitless in our capacity to search Him out. But nonetheless, we try, right? And so we want to become experts on this aspect of who He is so that those around us have an opportunity to know who He is as provider. And I want to be that, first of all, for my family. I want them to experience God as provider through me. I want to show up in a way in their lives where they know, wow, if I can't look anywhere else, I can at least look to my mom and know that she is proof that God provides for me. And, if we feel that way towards our kids, how much more so does God feel that way towards us? And so we get opportunities to reflect this aspect of who He is, but even to perfect strangers, because, we're all wired to, we've said this many times, but because of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil we ate of as, collective society, humanity, something in us was switched on to look at God through how we experience life, how we experience circumstances, good or bad. And so when you reflect God as generous, as provider to someone else, they are wired from the inside out to experience how you provide for them as, wow, there's a God. Like there is there is something other than me that looks out for me. And this person was just proof of that. So, alrighty then. How can we cooperate with God as provider in restoring riches to economy? Page 183 of Rainbow God, the 7 Colors of Love. And I'll remind you again, we have this book on audio. So if you're traveling and you want to be able to listen on an audiobook, or you like to listen while you do other things or going to bed at night, whatever, Johnny and I recorded this together, and so you'll have it in our voices, which I think is kind of fun to have it in the author's voice. Okay. God the provider, and this is all Johnny today, God the provider is looking for co-laborers to be able to handle the immense wealth that he has made available for those who are prepared to show the world how much he loves them. I know just a handful of these and have been privileged to hear how they are thinking and functioning with wealth. They have a be a channel mentality rather than a dam up the resources mentality. They don't just make a goal for how much income they can accumulate. Their primary goal is to see how much they can give away. We literally know like families like this, that couples like this. This is literally how they live. They started with, little to none, and they ended up extremely wealthy because of this goal right here. How much can we give away? One who already gives millions once said to me excitedly, God has asked me to believe that I can give billions. He never mentioned making billions, just giving billions. When your mind and spirit operate in that kind of thinking, you're positioning yourself to be greatly trusted by God the provider, the one who can produce green out of thin air. This man didn't stop to think about the fact that to give billions, you have to make billions. He was just excited about the opportunity to be a giver at this level and was eagerly preparing his heart for such a time. He has been faithful first with thousands, then 10,000s, then 100,000s, and now he's faithful with millions. God cannot trust you with an overflow if you've shown an inability to be faithful with little. If you ignore him when you handle hundreds, don't expect him to trust you with much more. You may attain wealth, but it will come with much sorrow. Proverbs 10 verse 22 says that. In the coming days, God will have authentic ministers of wealth. These will be people who think of being channels and not dams. A dam is a hoarding mechanism designed to stop the flow. Being a channel may mean the person has very modest personal financial flow, but is a conduit for great provision to flow through them for others. Even many charitable givers are dams first, and then give out of that abundance, always maintaining a dam full of personal resources. I won't knock them or that strategy, but I will just say that those whom God as provider will trust with billions and even trillions will be those who are happy to operate as channels, even at their own risk. They will have such a profound trust relationship with God that they will always know more is forthcoming. God the provider is an inexhaustible source, and we're going to see that in amazing ways in the days ahead. So much needs to be done with these massive amounts of resources, but God has to be very selective with powerful riches that can steer a heart. Those who position themselves as channels of his resources have a heart that continually comes back to God, because that is where their treasure has been going, towards the issues that touch his heart. Those who are dams for resources constantly wrestle with where their heart is. The next section is 2 pages. Do I want to read it? I'll read this fast. The hopeful future for our economy. God will begin to use his children in countless ways in the coming days. It all starts with recognizing who he is and inviting him in. All who want to serve as an extension of his provision on earth are invited to participate. He doesn't require you to be perfect or have a high-paying job. You may never be able to build enough trust in him to administer billions, but maybe you can handle hundreds or thousands. You can start where you are and see what you're able to grow into. Our currency is a simple trust in God that is earned as we learn to be faithful in the little. As you establish your identity as one who seeks first his kingdom with the small amounts you steward over, then you can then grow into greater measures of stewardship of riches that bring a blessing to the giver and the receivers. God has so much to do on planet Earth, and all of it will require extreme wealth. Almost everything he does is in conjunction with his children who understand their roles as ambassadors of his kingdom. Again, God has a lot to do on planet Earth, and all of it will require extreme wealth. Somebody's going to be trusted with extreme wealth. God has cities and nations to rebuild, disease and famine to eradicate, and issues of justice to resolve. The need for emergency relief funds will be an increasing reality in the future as the Earth's birth pains create more and more earthquakes, tsunamis, tornadoes, storms, and severe weather patterns. Most of what we think of as judgments from God are simply that region of the earth crying out for help. Again, we wrote this book a long time ago, and I will tell you that, clearly somebody with evil intentions is manipulating weather patterns as well. We're learning more. Often it's because that area is laden with the sin of that city or region, but it usually isn't God's judgment. Creation itself cries out for the sons and daughters of God to show up with the fullness of who he is and how good he is. There is no economic crisis on earth that God has not already placed the solution for in his sons and daughters who are willing to co-labor with him. There's no economic crisis that will ever come that he won't already have the solution for available through his kids. We simply need to awaken to who he is and what he's all about, and then arise and shine with what he's given us. We must become convinced that we have never been orphaned on planet Earth, no matter how much it may feel that way at times. God knows the things we need, and he has given us the parameters of how we are to receive his abundant provision in a way that it won't harm us. No sorrow with the wealth, right? He gave us clear instructions to seek his kingdom first, and then he will give all that's needed to us and through us. The current economic crisis isn't hopeless. The present U.S. debt of multiple trillions only seems impossible to deal with. There's already a plan available to reduce it to nothing. This plan will come through his sons and daughters who are co-laboring with him and have positioned themselves to be ministers of his heart on earth. I'm not talking about ordained ministers of church, but people who know the real him and are ready to make the real him known. Just how hopeless can any financial picture be when an eager and willing God is available to interact and relate with? Our massive economic troubles are just one let there be away from being resolved. He won't intervene unwisely or prematurely, as we do have to make some adjustments. That's an understatement. As we do have to make some adjustments. But don't think for even a moment that a practical solution straight from his heart doesn't exist. All right, hopefully that encouraged you today. Shalom. I want to talk very quickly about this word. I will sum it up in 3 words. It is well. Shalom. It is well. Shalom, of course, in Hebrew is a word that they use for greeting, just like they do hello and goodbye. They say shalom to you when you greet someone, even like on the street, a stranger, when you're in Israel. Shalom. And it means completeness, safety, soundness, welfare, health, prosperity, peace, quiet, tranquility, contentment, peace in friendships, and peace with God, and peace from war. So much is summed up in that one word, shalom. So when you declare that over yourself or over someone else, you are declaring literally a mouthful of other words. When we say pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for the shalom, like for things to be complete, sound, prosperous, quiet, content, for there to be peace in relationships with man and with God, peace from war. I want to point out some quick scriptures that use this word shalom from the Old Testament, Numbers 6:24 through 26. You've heard this many times, probably at church, prayed over you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Give you peace, give you shalom. So the Lord give you shalom. And Isaiah, both 57:21 and 48:22 says, there is no shalom for the wicked. There's no peace for the wicked. When you partner with evil rather than with good, when you abide with the enemy rather than abiding with Jesus, you have no access to peace. It's just a reality. You can numb yourself, you can self-comfort, you can do temporary things, but as far as true peace, shalom, there is no peace for the wicked, no shalom for the wicked. And then Isaiah 52 verse 7, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who proclaims shalom, peace, who brings glad tidings of good things, who proclaims salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns. Now, I love what that word shalom is kind of sandwiched in between. It's grouped with these other ideas of bringing good news, bringing good tidings, glad tidings of good things, proclaiming salvation, saying your God reigns. This mentality, this perspective comes hand in hand with shalom. Good news, good things happening, salvation. And remember that word salvation is sozo. It is also another complete kind of word. It's not just talking about your soul being saved for eternity, which is huge, right? That's everything. But it also includes salvation in terms of whatever you need to be whole, complete in, whatever is broken, being repaired. And then Isaiah 53 verse 5, speaking of Jesus, this was, Isaiah 53 is all about the death of Jesus, and it was foretold by this prophet hundreds of years before Jesus was actually born. But this one verse, he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities, and the chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. So this part of the chastisement for our shalom, the chastisement for our peace was upon him. Another version says the punishment was on him so that we could access shalom. So much was accomplished in the ways that Jesus was tortured unto death. He was tortured unto death. He wasn't just executed. He was tortured unto death. And these specific ways that he was tortured, that the God of the universe was tortured by the ones that he created, is just unfathomable. But it was very specific. He was wounded. He was bruised. He was hit with to have stripes on him. The beating, the whipping. All of that was, each thing was so specific. Like he took it all. And part of what he took, that punishment that he took, was literally so that we could live on this side of eternity with shalom, with peace, complete, safe, sound, healthy, prosperous, quiet, tranquil, content, peace in our friendships, peace with God. and peace from war. It's interesting because here in, back to Isaiah 9:6, unto us a child is born, a son is given, and his name is called Prince of Peace, meaning warring Prince of Shalom. So he warred and he wrestled and he won. Now he is royalty. He is the prince. He is the king over this word, this peace, this shalom that is ours. I love that. So I declare one word over you today. Just close your eyes and just let it in for just a second. I declare over you shalom. Yeah. Thank you, God. Thank you for shalom. Thank you for sending Jesus. Jesus, thank you for taking chastisement. None of us likes to be chastised for anything when we deserve it. You didn't deserve chastisement, but you took it. You took it, every word, every aspect of the torture that you endured. You had each one of us in mind because you wanted us to have shalom. And we receive it right now. Thank you. We won't settle for anything less than what you paid for with your very body. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for this shalom. Okie dokie. Well, the song I have for you today, if you hadn't thought of it by now, it is Well With My Soul. I think I've even given that to you before, but I think it's just so appropriate for this word shalom. It just ties it all up. It is well with my soul in the midst of the things that we face and that, happen and go on all around us. We can retreat into the strong tower of our God and find shalom and find and discover that it truly is well with my soul. And so you could find your favorite version of that, but I found one. Melissa Jean has the most powerful voice. So on YouTube, she goes by Melissa Jean Music, Jean, Melissa, Jean Music. It is well with my soul. So I just declare once again shalom over you, and I will be with you again mañana, tomorrow. And let's see if there's any quick comments that I need to respond to. No. Looks good. Aw, thank you, Kathy. Yeah, that 15-minute thing, I noticed yesterday somebody was complaining about that, and she wanted me to be accountable to her for my 15 minutes. And I have to admit, that made me want to go for 50 minutes. That little thing in me wanted to go, really? You want me to be done in 15 minutes? Anyway, obviously, you'll have lots of options here. You can hop off when you need to or don't get on at all. But I do have, I've just realized I can't really be true to what the Lord has put in me and deliver it the way that I have peace if I'm under like a strict time thing. So I try to put enough out there that you can always turn it off when you need to or come back to it later. So thank you for that good feedback, Kathy. I appreciate that. Anyway, God's so good. And go long, please. Thank you, Deirdre. All right. Well, it's always hard to say goodbye. I just kind of like to linger here with y'all. But I am going to go off to the next deadline today. We're working hard on getting some really awesome speakers for you guys for the next Rise online event. Go to kingdomlearning.org, and you will see where you can register for August 28th. We changed the date. It was going to be at the end of this month. And planning 2 weddings just got me a little behind on that. So we shifted it to August 28th. But that'll be here before you know it. So if you want to register for that, you can. I don't know if there's early bird pricing anymore for that or not. But anyway, love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.